Hello, fellow seekers of wisdom. Welcome back to Inkwell Insights, your sanctuary for exploring the profound depths of literature and its power to illuminate our lives. Here, we believe that within the pages of a well-crafted book lies the potential to unlock personal growth, ignite curiosity, and spark a deep reflection on the human experience. Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine as you recognized a disturbing echo of reality in the pages of a dystopian novel? Have you ever questioned the fragility of the freedoms we often take for granted? Do you ever contemplate the insidious nature of power and its ability to corrupt even the most well-intentioned systems? How much of our identity is truly our own, and how much is shaped by the societal structures around us? What are the subtle ways in which language itself can be weaponized to control and manipulate? And, perhaps most importantly, what responsibility do we bear to safeguard the values we hold dear in the face of encroaching darkness? Today, we're diving headfirst into a book that forces us to confront these unsettling questions head-on. Margaret Atwood's masterpiece, The Handmaid's Tale. This isn't just another dystopian novel, it's a chillingly prescient exploration of the dangers of religious extremism, the suppression of women, and the erosion of fundamental human rights. Atwood, a literary titan known for her sharp intellect and unflinching gaze, weaves a narrative that is both terrifyingly plausible and deeply moving. Her ability to blend the political with the personal, the grand with the intimate, is what makes The Handmaid's Tale such a resonant and enduring work. It's a book that lingers in your thoughts long after you've turned the final page, prompting you to examine the world around you with a newfound sense of awareness and urgency. So, let's journey together into the heart of Gilead and uncover the profound truths that Atwood so powerfully unveils. At the core of The Handmaid's Tale lies the insidious erosion of freedom, a concept we often take for granted until it's snatched away. Freedom isn't just about political rights or legal entitlements, it's about the ability to make choices, to express oneself, to forge one's own identity. It's about the autonomy to control one's own body, mind, and spirit. Gilead, the totalitarian regime depicted in the novel, systematically strips its citizens of these fundamental freedoms, particularly women, reducing them to mere vessels for procreation. But the loss of freedom isn't always as dramatic as a violent revolution or a totalitarian takeover. It can happen gradually, subtly, insidiously, through the erosion of civil liberties, the normalization of prejudice, and the insidious creep of conformity. Think about the constant pressure to conform to societal expectations, to fit into prescribed molds, to silence dissenting voices. How often do we censor ourselves, afraid of being judged, ridiculed, or ostracized? How many times have we witnessed injustices and remained silent, fearing the consequences of speaking out? Consider the relentless bombardment of media messages that shape our perceptions of beauty, success, and happiness, often leading us to pursue goals that are not truly our own. Are we truly free when our desires are manufactured, our opinions are manipulated, and our choices are constrained? Take, for instance, the workaholic who dedicates every waking moment to their career, sacrificing their personal relationships, their health, and their passions on the altar of ambition. They may believe they are acting freely, pursuing their dreams, but are they truly free if they are driven by an insatiable need for external validation, a fear of failure, or a desire to prove their worth? Or consider the individual who is perpetually glued to their smartphone, constantly seeking validation through social media likes and comments. They may feel connected, but are they truly free if their self-esteem is dependent on the opinions of strangers? Another example, the overly cautious parent who shields their child from every possible risk, believing they are protecting them, but in reality are stifling their independence, their creativity, and their ability to learn from their own mistakes. This overprotectiveness, however well-intentioned, can create a prison of fear and dependence. The insidious nature of control is often cloaked in seemingly benevolent intentions. Look at the rise of surveillance technologies, justified in the name of security, but capable of monitoring our every move, tracking our every communication, and eroding our privacy. We are told it's for our own good, to protect us from threats, but at what cost? As Benjamin Franklin wisely stated, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Consider the power of language itself. Gilead understood that controlling language was key to controlling thought. They stripped women of their names, their titles, their ability to read and write. By limiting their vocabulary and restricting their forms of expression, they effectively silenced their voices and confined their minds. We see echoes of this in our own society, in the way language is used to dehumanize marginalized groups, to spread misinformation, and to manipulate public opinion. The words we use have power, and those who control the narrative often control the world. The true cost of freedom is vigilance. It demands that we constantly question authority, challenge injustice, and defend the rights of others. It requires us to be active participants in our own lives, to resist the forces of conformity, and to cultivate our own unique voices. It's a constant struggle, a never-ending battle against the forces that seek to control us. Atwood, through the eyes of Offred, the handmaid at the center of the story, compels us to confront this uncomfortable truth. Offred's journey is a slow, agonizing process of losing and then desperately trying to reclaim her identity, her agency, and ultimately, her freedom. She is a woman stripped of her name, her family, her profession, and her rights, reduced to a mere reproductive vessel in the dystopian Republic of Gilead. Through her experiences, Atwood explores the multifaceted nature of freedom, highlighting its physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual dimensions. Atwood doesn't offer easy answers, but through Offred's internal struggles, her moments of rebellion, both big and small, and her unwavering will to survive, she provides a powerful testament to the enduring human spirit and the importance of fighting for what you believe in. Atwood essentially argues that freedom is not a static state, but rather a continuous process of resistance, adaptation, and self-discovery. The book can be broken down into several key ideas, each illuminating a different facet of freedom and its erosion. First, the control of reproduction and the female body as a cornerstone of totalitarian regimes. Gilead's entire existence hinges on controlling women's reproductive capabilities. Faced with a declining birth rate, the ruling elite institutes a system where fertile women, deemed handmaids, are forced to bear children for the commanders and their infertile wives. This control extends to every aspect of the handmaids' lives, from their clothing to their movements to their thoughts. Their bodies are not their own, they are state property, vessels for procreation. This is a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle for women's reproductive rights around the world and the dangers of allowing political ideologies to dictate personal choices. In our society, debates over abortion rights, access to contraception, and the commodification of women's bodies are all echoes of the themes explored in The Handmaid's Tale. Imagine a young woman facing an unwanted pregnancy in a state with restrictive abortion laws. She is forced to carry the pregnancy to term, even if it conflicts with her personal beliefs, her career aspirations, or her overall well-being. Her body has become a battleground, a site of political contestation. Or consider the pressures faced by women to conform to unrealistic beauty standards, to alter their bodies to meet societal expectations. This constant pressure to be physically perfect can lead to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and a profound sense of disempowerment. The commodification of women's bodies in advertising and entertainment further reinforces the idea that women's value is primarily based on their physical appearance, rather than their intellect, their skills, or their character. Secondly, the power of language and its manipulation as a tool of oppression. Gilead understands that controlling language is essential to controlling thought. They strip women of their names, replacing them with possessive phrases like Offred, signifying their ownership by the commander. They ban books, restrict education, and limit access to information. By controlling the flow of language, they effectively control the narrative, shaping public opinion and suppressing dissent. This is a powerful reminder of the importance of freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the right to access information. Think about the way misinformation and propaganda are used to manipulate public opinion during political campaigns or in times of social unrest. False narratives can be crafted to demonize opponents, to justify violence, and to erode trust in institutions. Or consider the use of euphemisms and doublespeak to disguise unpleasant truths. War is described as collateral damage, Economic inequality is framed as trickle-down economics, and political corruption is dismissed as honest mistakes. By sanitizing language, these euphemisms obscure the reality of the situation and make it harder to hold those in power accountable. Thirdly, the importance of resistance, both overt and subtle, in the face of oppression. Despite the overwhelming power of Gilead, Offred and other characters find ways to resist. Some engage in acts of overt rebellion, such as joining the May Day resistance movement. Others resist in more subtle ways, through acts of defiance, acts of kindness, and acts of memory. Offred clings to her memories of her past life, remembering her daughter, her husband, and her friends. These memories serve as a source of strength and a reminder of what she is fighting for. Consider a teacher in Gilead secretly teaching her student how to read, defying the ban on female literacy. This seemingly small act of rebellion can have a profound impact, empowering the student and challenging the authority of the regime. Or imagine a handmaid secretly sharing information with another, passing along whispers of hope and resistance. These acts of solidarity, however small, can create a network of support and fuel the flames of rebellion. Fourthly, the enduring power of hope and the human spirit. Despite the horrors she witnesses and experiences, Offred never loses hope. She clings to the possibility of escape, the possibility of reunion with her loved ones, and the possibility of a better future. Her resilience is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most unimaginable challenges. This is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can be a source of strength and a catalyst for change. Think about a political prisoner languishing in a jail cell, maintaining their sanity by writing poetry or meditating. Their ability to find beauty and meaning in the midst of suffering is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Or consider a refugee fleeing their war-torn homeland, carrying with them only the hope of finding safety and a better life for their children. Their unwavering determination to rebuild their lives in a new country is an inspiration to us all. Fifthly, the dangers of apathy and complacency. Gilead's rise to power is facilitated by the apathy and complacency of ordinary citizens who fail to recognize the warning signs of creeping totalitarianism. They are too busy with their own lives, too comfortable with the status quo, to challenge the growing extremism that is taking hold of their society. This is a stark reminder of the importance of civic engagement, critical thinking, and a willingness to speak out against injustice. If good people do nothing, evil will prevail. Imagine a society where people are so absorbed in their own entertainment and distractions that they fail to notice the erosion of their civil liberties. They are too busy watching reality TV or scrolling through social media to pay attention to the political events that are shaping their lives. Or consider a community where people are afraid to challenge the status quo, fearing the consequences of speaking out against powerful interests. This culture of silence can create a breeding ground for corruption and oppression. These 5 key ideas, interwoven throughout the narrative, provide a powerful framework for understanding the multifaceted nature of freedom and the dangers of its erosion. Atwood's brilliance lies in her ability to translate abstract concepts into concrete realities, making the horrors of Gilead feel all too plausible. Now, let's delve deeper into some common behaviors, misconceptions, and habits that contribute to the erosion of freedom, both in Gilead and in our own world. One such behavior is living in the past, clinging to regrets, and allowing past traumas to define the present. Offred, constantly haunted by memories of her former life, struggles to reconcile her past freedom with her present captivity. She replays events in her mind, yearning for what she has lost, but also fearing the pain of remembering. This inability to let go of the past can be a prison in itself, preventing us from fully embracing the present and creating a better future. Consider an individual who experienced a traumatic event in their childhood, such as abuse or neglect. They may carry the emotional scars of that trauma with them throughout their lives, struggling with anxiety, depression, and difficulty forming healthy relationships. Their past experiences cast a long shadow, shaping their perceptions of the world and limiting their ability to live fully in the present. Or imagine someone who made a mistake in their past, a mistake that continues to haunt them years later. They may be filled with regret, constantly replaying the events in their mind and beating themselves up for their past actions. This inability to forgive themselves can prevent them from moving forward and building a more positive future. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." We can learn from the past, but we cannot allow it to define us. We must embrace the present, with all its challenges and opportunities, and strive to create a better future for ourselves and for others. Another common misconception is the fear of failure, which paralyzes us and prevents us from taking risks and pursuing our dreams. In Gilead, failure is punished harshly, with severe consequences for those who deviate from the prescribed roles and expectations. This creates a climate of fear and conformity, discouraging individuals from taking risks or expressing their individuality. Think about a student who is so afraid of failing an exam that they are unable to study effectively. Their anxiety overwhelms them, preventing them from concentrating and absorbing the material. Or consider an entrepreneur who has a brilliant idea for a new business, but is too afraid of failure to take the plunge. They let their fear hold them back, missing out on a potentially life-changing opportunity. As Robert F. Kennedy said, "Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly." Another habit that limits our freedom is the constant seeking of external validation, relying on the opinions of others to define our worth and happiness. In Gilead, women are valued solely for their reproductive capabilities, their worth determined by their ability to bear children. This external validation reinforces the patriarchal structure and prevents women from developing their own sense of self-worth. Imagine a social media influencer who is constantly seeking likes and comments to boost their self-esteem. Their happiness is dependent on the approval of strangers, and they are constantly striving to present a perfect image to the world. Or consider an overly sacrificing mother who prioritizes her children's needs above her own, neglecting her own well-being in the process. Her self-worth is tied to her children's success, and she feels guilty when she takes time for herself. As Lao Tzu wisely stated, "Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner." Furthermore, the illusion of choice, the belief that we are free when we are simply choosing between predetermined options, is a subtle form of control. In Gilead, the handmaids are given limited choices, such as which commander to serve, but these choices are ultimately meaningless, as they have no control over their own lives. Think about the consumer culture that surrounds us, bombarding us with endless choices of products and services. We are led to believe that we are free to choose whatever we want, but in reality, our choices are often limited by our financial resources, our social conditioning, and the persuasive power of advertising. Or consider the political system, where we are often forced to choose between two candidates who represent the same corporate interests. We may feel like we are exercising our right to vote, but our choices are ultimately constrained by the limited options available to us. Moreover, the acceptance of authority without question, blindly following orders without critical thinking, is a dangerous habit that can lead to oppression. In Gilead, citizens are expected to obey the commanders without question, and those who dissent are punished severely. This creates a climate of fear and conformity, preventing individuals from challenging the status quo. Imagine a soldier who is ordered to commit atrocities against innocent civilians. They may question the morality of their actions, but they ultimately obey orders, fearing the consequences of disobedience. Or consider a worker who is asked to engage in unethical practices by their employer. They may feel uncomfortable with what they are doing, but they comply, fearing the loss of their job. As Hannah Arendt observed in her study of the Eichmann trial, the banality of evil lies in the unthinking obedience to authority. Finally, the normalization of violence, the gradual acceptance of brutality as commonplace, desensitizes us to suffering and makes us complicit in injustice. In Gilead, violence is a constant presence, with public executions and other forms of punishment used to maintain control. The citizens become desensitized to this violence, accepting it as a normal part of their lives.